I thought I knew my wife until she spoke those words at our family dinner. Her cruel comment wasn't just an insult. It was a confession. Without saying a word, I walked out and never returned. What I discovered next about the woman I'd loved for 8 years shattered everything I thought was real. Sometimes the loudest statement is silence. My name is Marcus Wheeler. I'm 42 years old, and until last month, I ran a successful drone photography business in Portland. Funny how I say, until last month, like I don't still own it. I do, but nothing feels the same anymore. Not since that night. I specialize in high-end real estate shoots and event coverage. Weddings, corporate functions, you name it. I've got an eye for angles most people miss. And my clients pay premium for that perspective. Rachel, my wife of 8 years, always called it playing with toys for a living. Initially, it was teasing. Eventually, it became something else. That fateful evening, my parents drove up from Eugene for dinner. My sister Kelly and her husband were also visiting with their kids. Rachel had been acting strange all week, distant, irritable, checking her watch like she had somewhere better to be. She wore this turquoise pendant I'd never seen before. When I asked about it, she mumbled something about treating herself and changed the subject. Dinner started off normal enough. Dad talking about his golf game, Mom showing photos of their new patio furniture, kids being kids. I was carving the roast when Kelly mentioned our upcoming family reunion at Lake Chelan. You guys are coming, right? Kelly asked, looking between Rachel and me. Marcus, you could bring those amazing aerial shots of the lake like last time. Before I could answer, Rachel snorted and set down her wine glass with a clink. Please, she said, rolling her eyes. Marcus wouldn't last 3 days without his precious equipment and sad little routine. He'd be twitching by day 2. The table went silent. It wasn't just what she said, it was how she said it, dripping with contempt, like I was some pathetic creature she was stuck with. My father cleared his throat. My mother suddenly became very interested in her napkin. The kids, thankfully, were too busy with their tablets to notice. I looked at Rachel. She didn't meet my eyes, just reached for more wine. In that moment, something inside me just clicked. A lifetime of accommodating, of smoothing things over, of being the reasonable one, seemed to collapse in on itself. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I simply set down my knife, placed my napkin beside my plate, and stood up. Rachel glanced up, annoyed. What are you doing? I didn't answer. I walked to the coat rack, grabbed my jacket, and headed for the door. Marcus. My mother's voice, concerned. I paused at the threshold, hand on the doorknob. Then I walked out, closing the door quietly behind me. I never went back that night. Sometimes the loudest statement is silence. I walked for hours that night, not caring where I was going. Portland's rain soaked through my jacket, but I hardly noticed. My phone buzzed relentlessly. Rachel, my mother, my sister Kelly. I silenced it and kept moving. Around midnight, I found myself at Riverside Motel, the kind of place where the desk clerk doesn't make eye contact and the vending machines are always half empty. Perfect. I paid cash for 3 nights and collapsed onto a bed that smelled like industrial cleaner and cigarettes. Sleep didn't come. Instead, memories flashed through my mind, puzzle pieces suddenly fitting together. Rachel's yoga classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, though she never seemed to get more flexible. Business dinners that ran late. The new perfume she started wearing 3 months ago. The mysterious phone calls she'd taken the bathroom with the shower running. My body felt heavy, like someone had replaced my blood with lead. I'd built my business from nothing, saved for years to buy my first professional drone, worked weekends and holidays shooting properties when other photographers wouldn't. Rachel had called it my little hobby, until the checks started coming in. Then it became our business. Funny how that works. At dawn, I finally checked my messages. 15 texts, 5 voicemails. Rachel, 8:42 p.m. Where are you? Stop being dramatic. Rachel, 9:17 p.m. Your parents are worried. Way to ruin dinner. Rachel, 10:35 p.m. Seriously? You're gonna sulk all night over a joke. Rachel, 11:58 p.m. Fine. Stay gone if that's what you want. The last one, sent at 3:21 a.m. Your drone battery is almost dead. You left it charging. That was it. No apology. No acknowledgement. Just concern for my equipment. My mother. Marcus, please call us. We're worried. Kelly, bro, that was rough. Call me when you can. staying at parents' hotel. I texted Mom that I was fine and needed space. Then I turned off my phone completely. That morning, I did something I'd never done before. I called my biggest client and postponed our shoot. Doug Mitchell owned the most successful real estate agency in the Pacific Northwest, and I never canceled on him. Ever. "Everything okay, Wheeler?" Doug asked. His usual boisterous tone softened with concern. "Not really," I admitted. "Marriage stuff." A long pause. Then, "Meet me at Blacksmith's in an hour. You sound like you need a friend more than a client today." I hadn't planned to tell anyone, but sitting across from Doug at the quiet corner table of that dimly lit bar, the whole story spilled out. The dinner, the comment, the months of suspicion. Doug's face darkened as I talked. When I finished, he leaned back and took a long pull from his beer. "You know she's sleeping with someone," he said. Not a question. I nodded slowly. "I think so, but I need to know for sure." "Then it's time to find out." Doug pulled out his phone. "My cousin's a private investigator. Best in the business. Discreet, thorough." "I don't know, Doug. Listen to me, Marcus." Doug's voice was firm. "You walked out for a reason. You're good at screaming at you. Don't ignore it just because the truth might hurt. Uncertainty will kill you slower, but it'll still kill you." I stared at my untouched drink, then nodded. "Make the call." I didn't know it then, but that decision would change everything. Sometimes the hardest step is the first one away from what's familiar, even when what's familiar has become poison. Doug's cousin Lisa turned out to be nothing like I expected. No trench coat, no fedora, just a sharp-eyed woman in her 40s with short gray hair and a laptop that looked military grade. 3 days, she said after I explained the situation. "That's all I need." We met at a coffee shop far from my usual haunts. Lisa didn't sugarcoat things. "Most of my clients already know the truth," she said, stirring her black coffee. "They just need proof. Closure. Are you sure you want this?" I nodded. "I need to know." "Fine. But a word of advice. Don't confront her until we talk again. People do stupid things when cornered." The next 3 days were the longest of my life. I stayed at the motel, told my clients I had equipment issues, and avoided Rachel's increasingly hostile messages. The latest one, "Hope whatever tantrum you're throwing was worth ruining Thanksgiving." I busied myself reviewing old projects, updating my website, anything to keep my mind occupied. But at night, alone with my thoughts, doubts crept in. What if I was overreacting? What if it really was just a thoughtless comment? Then I remembered her eyes when she said it. The contempt, the dismissal of everything I'd built, everything we'd built. On the third day, Lisa called. "Meet me." Now, the folder she handed me was thin but devastating. Photos of Rachel entering a high-rise downtown apartment building. Rachel and a tall, dark-haired man on a restaurant balcony, his hand on hers. The same man I recognized from her gallery events, Cameron Reed, the arts investor, who always seemed to be around lately. But it was the hotel receipt that gut-punched me, dated 2 days before our anniversary weekend. While I was planning a surprise getaway, she was with him. "There's more," Lisa said quietly. "But this should be enough." I stared at the evidence, a strange calm settling over me. "It is. Thank you." "What will you do now?" she asked. "Something I should have done years ago," I answered. "Stand up for myself." As I drove back to the motel, my phone rang. "Doug. Wheeler, where are you?" "Rachel just showed up at my office looking for you." She seemed unstable. "What did you tell her?" "That I hadn't seen you." "She didn't believe me. Started accusing me of covering for you. Said you were acting deranged." "What the hell, man?" I gripped the steering wheel tighter. "I'm coming over. I need to use your computer." 20 minutes later, I was in Doug's office, accessing my cloud backup. Rachel didn't know I had cameras installed at our house. Not for spying, but for security after a break-in last year. They uploaded footage directly to my secure server. I found what I needed quickly. The timestamp showed yesterday afternoon. Rachel bringing Cameron into our home. Into our bedroom. Doug watched over my shoulder, his face hardening. "Jesus, Marcus. I need to print these," I said, my voice sounding strange, even to my own ears. "All of them." Doug put a hand on my shoulder. "Are you sure about this? Once you confront her." "I'm done hiding from the truth," I said, standing up straighter. It's time she faced it too. I returned home the next morning, knowing Rachel would be there. It was Saturday. She always slept in on weekends. The house looked exactly as I'd left it, yet somehow completely different. Foreign territory now. I found her in the kitchen, scrolling through her phone, still in her silk robe. She looked up, surprise quickly replaced with irritation. "Well, look who decided to come home," she said, not bothering to stand. "Get tired of your little hotel?" I set my bag down and placed the envelope on the counter. "We need to talk." Rachel rolled her eyes. "About your dramatic exit?" "Yes, we do. You humiliated me in front of your family, Marcus, over a stupid joke." "It wasn't a joke," I said calmly. "And we both know it." Something flickered across her face. Uncertainty, perhaps a flash of fear. Then the mask of indignation returned. "What are you talking about? You're being ridiculous." I slid the envelope toward her. "Open it." "What is this?" she asked, not reaching for it. "The truth." Her eyes narrowed. "Have you been spying on me?" "No, Rachel. I've been waking up." She finally opened the envelope. I watched as her expression shifted from annoyance to shock, then to cold calculation. "You had me followed." Her voice trembled with anger. "What kind of controlling?" "Stop." I cut her off. "Just stop. I know about Cameron. I know about the hotel. I even know he was here, in our bed, yesterday." Her face went pale. "You've lost your mind." "Actually, I found it," I said, surprised by my own steadiness. "I'm filing for divorce." Rachel stood up then, her shock giving way to something harder. "You'll regret this. You're nothing without me. Your business was a joke until I helped you." I almost laughed. "Is that what you think? That I need you to succeed? Look around, Rachel. I built this. Me. While you were busy planning your next affair." "It's not what you think," she tried, switching tactics. "Cameron is just." "I don't care what he is," I interrupted. "I care what you are. And you're not the person I married. Maybe you never were." Her eyes filled with tears, practiced, perfect tears that once would have broken me. "Marcus, please. We can work through this." "No," I said simply. "We can't. I've already called a lawyer. I'll be staying with Doug until things are arranged." As I turned to leave, she called after me, voice suddenly cold. "You'll be sorry, Marcus." Nobody walks away from me. I paused at the doorway, looking back one last time at the woman I'd once loved more than anything. "I already am sorry, Rachel. Sorry I didn't walk away sooner." And with that, I closed the door on that chapter of my life. The weight I'd been carrying for years lifted from my shoulders as I walked to my truck. For the first time in a long time, I could breathe. "She's telling everyone you had a mental breakdown." These words came from my sister Kelly as we sat in a quiet corner of Riverfront Park 3 days after my confrontation with Rachel. The December chill had emptied the normally crowded space, giving us privacy among bare trees and iron benches. "Apparently you've been acting erratic for months," Kelly continued, making air quotes. "According to her, the drone business was failing, and you couldn't handle the pressure." I shook my head, watching my breath form clouds in the cold air. Classic. Anything to avoid responsibility. "Mom and Dad know it's bull," Kelly reassured me, squeezing my arm. "We all saw how she spoke to you that night." The divorce proceedings had already begun, thanks to a lawyer Doug recommended. Rachel's initial shock had quickly morphed into calculated aggression. She'd frozen our joint accounts. Fortunately, my business accounts were separate and was demanding half of everything, including my drone company. "She's also been calling your clients," Kelly added hesitantly. "Doug told me, saying you're unstable, that they should work with her recommended photographer instead." That explained the strange email I'd received from a regular client yesterday, awkwardly canceling our upcoming project. The thought of Rachel systematically dismantling what I'd built made my jaw clench. "She won't succeed," I said firmly. "My work speaks for itself." We walked along the river, Kelly updating me on family news, carefully avoiding Rachel-related topics. As we neared the parking lot, she paused. "There's something else you should know," she said, her expression grave. "Cameron Reed isn't just some random guy. He's an investor in several properties that Rachel helped sell through her gallery connections. They've been working together for at least a year." The revelation wasn't entirely surprising, but it still stung. Rachel had always insisted on handling the financial side of our marriage, claiming her artistic eye extended to investment opportunities. I trusted her completely. "How did you find this out?" I asked. "Dad has a friend in commercial real estate." When I mentioned Cameron's name, he recognized it immediately, said the guy has a reputation for shady deals and dating married women. I nodded. processing this new information. Thank you for telling me. What will you do now? Kelly asked as we reached her car. I looked up at the gray December sky, feeling a strange sense of clarity despite everything. Rebuild. On my terms this time. She hugged me tightly. You're stronger than she ever gave you credit for, Marcus. We all see it, even if she never did. As I watched Kelly drive away, I made a decision. Rachel could attack my reputation, my business, even my self-worth, but she couldn't take my resolve. Not anymore. I spent the next week in tactical mode, operating from Doug's guest room like a general planning a campaign. First priority, securing my business. She's claiming your company was built with joint funds. My lawyer, Patricia, explained over video call. Says she provided startup capital and marketing connections. That's false, I replied, already pulling up bank statements on my laptop. I saved for 3 years before buying my first professional equipment. Every penny documented. Patricia nodded approvingly. Good. Send me everything. We need to establish clear separation. Next, I addressed the client situation. Rachel had contacted 7 of my regular customers, painting me as unreliable and mentally unstable. I wouldn't play her game by trash-talking in return. Instead, I created a video showcasing my latest projects, professionally thanking each client by name for their continued trust. I sent it with a simple message. Looking forward to our next collaboration. Your vision, my perspective. 6 responded positively within 24 hours. The 7th called personally to apologize for believing Rachel's claims. Doug watched my methodical approach with admiration. You're handling this like a pro, Wheeler. Most guys will be falling apart. I shrugged, checking image quality on a recent shoot. What choice do I have? Collapse? That's what she wants. Speaking of what she wants, Doug hesitated. Lisa's been keeping an eye on things. Rachel's been meeting with Cameron at your house regularly. Seems like she's planning to move him in once you're officially out. The news should have hurt, but instead it hardened my resolve. Let her. The property will be sold anyway. Court order. That evening, I received an unexpected email from Rachel's gallery assistant, Emma. We'd always been friendly, though Rachel discouraged fraternization with her staff. Marcus, I don't know if this matters, but Rachel has been selling pieces from your personal collection, the vintage cameras, and that signed aviation print. She brought them to the gallery last week, claiming you wanted them appraised for insurance. They're already sold. I'm sorry. This didn't feel right. Attached was a photo of my grandfather's restored Hasselblad, the camera that had inspired my love of photography, now displayed in a gallery case with a red sold tag. I forwarded the email to Patricia with a simple note. Add this to the documentation. Then I did something unexpected. I laughed, not from humor, but from liberation. Rachel was still fighting to hurt me, still trying to find vulnerable spots. But with each attack, she only confirmed what I already knew. Walking away had been the right decision. That night, I pulled out my drone equipment for the first time since the confrontation. There was a sunrise shoot I'd been planning for months, a historic bridge catching first light. Perfect timing to reclaim my passion. As I checked my gear, I felt lighter somehow. Rachel had taken things I loved, but she couldn't take the part of me that created. That belonged to me alone. The divorce proceedings dragged into January, turning colder than the Portland winter. Rachel refused mediation, demanding her fair share of everything, including my business equipment. Her lawyer, a shark in an expensive suit, claimed she'd been integral to the company's success. I maintained my focus on work, securing 3 major commercial contracts that would keep me financially stable through the transition. The Sunrise Bridge shoot had gone viral in local photography circles, bringing unexpected attention and new clients. One frigid morning, I was setting up my equipment at Forest Park for a real estate promotional video when my phone rang. Emma from the gallery again. Marcus, she sounded anxious. Rachel doesn't know I'm calling. There's something you need to see. We met at a coffee shop downtown. Emma slid a tablet across the table, open to a draft email from Rachel to Cameron. Once the divorce finalizes, we'll have the capital to launch the investment group. His equipment alone will fetch enough to fund the first acquisitions. Don't worry about him fighting back. I've documented every unstable episode and business failure for years, whether they happened or not. No judge will take his word over mine. I stared at the screen, anger rising like fire in my chest, but my voice remained steady. When was this written? 3 days ago, Emma said. She left her email open while taking a call. I shouldn't have looked, but after what she did with your cameras. Why show me this? I asked. You're risking your job. Emma straightened in her seat. Because it's wrong. And because she fired my brother from gallery maintenance last year when he needed the health insurance for his kid. Said he was unreliable when he missed work for his son's hospital appointments. Another piece of the Rachel puzzle clicked into place. Her ruthlessness wasn't new. I'd just been blind to it, excusing her business decisions as necessary toughness. Thank you, I said, meaning it. This changes things. Back at Doug's, I called Patricia immediately. She reviewed the evidence with professional calm. This is significant, she confirmed. Shows premeditation, malicious intent. Emma willing to testify. She's scared of professional backlash. Understandable. Let me see what I can do with just the email for now. That evening, Doug returned from a showing with unexpected news. You're not going to believe who I met with today. Vanessa Reed, gallery owner from Seattle. Apparently, she's looking to open a Portland location. Needs a property photographer. I raised an eyebrow. And she specifically asked for you. Said your work stands out. She also mentioned she's had difficult dealings with Rachel in the past. Reading between the lines, your wife may have burned some professional bridges. For the first time in weeks, I felt a genuine smile for him. Former wife. And I'd be very interested in talking with Ms. Reed. As Doug poured us each a drink, I realized something important was shifting. Rachel had tried to destroy what I'd built. My business, my reputation, even my self-worth. But in doing so, she'd inadvertently revealed her true character to everyone around her. Some battles you win not by fighting, but by standing firm while your opponent destroys themselves. The email changed everything. Patricia used it to file emergency motions protecting my business assets and personal property. The judge, clearly unimpressed with Rachel's documented strategy, issued temporary orders preventing her from contacting my clients or selling any more of my possessions. That should have felt like victory. Instead, it left me hollowed out, facing the wreckage of a relationship I once thought unbreakable. I threw myself into work, spending days capturing Portland's landscapes from angles only a drone could provide. You need to get out more, Doug insisted one evening, finding me editing footage at his dining room table. All work and no play makes Marcus a dull photographer. That's how I found myself at the grand opening of Westbrook Gallery, Vanessa Reed's new Portland venture. The converted warehouse space was packed with the city's art crowd, soft jazz, playing as waiters circulated with champagne. Vanessa spotted me immediately, waving me over. Tall and confident, with silver-streaked hair and a photographer's keen eye, she'd reviewed my portfolio the previous week and commissioned me on the spot for her promotional materials. Marcus, perfect timing. There's someone you need to meet. She introduced me to James Torres, a developer planning an ambitious eco-friendly apartment complex along the river. James needs aerial progress shots documented monthly. I told him he's the best in the business. As we discussed potential angles and lighting, I caught sight of a familiar face across the room, Rachel, arriving with Cameron. She froze when she saw me, clearly not expecting my presence in what she considered her territory. Instead of the anxiety I expected to feel, I found myself completely unmoved. Our eyes met briefly, and I simply nodded before returning to my conversation with James. Is that your ex? Vanessa asked quietly when James stepped away to take a call. Soon to be, I confirmed. How did you know? The dagger she's staring at your back, Vanessa smiled. And I've heard things. The art world is small. Whatever you've heard is probably worse in reality, I admitted. I don't doubt it. Rachel's reputation precedes her. Vanessa's expression turned serious. For what it's worth, several gallery owners I know have had, let's call them ethical concerns about her business practices. Your divorce might be a blessing in disguise professionally. James returned. Contract details were finalized, and the evening progressed. I intentionally avoided Rachel's corner of the gallery, not from fear, but from indifference. She no longer had power over my emotions or my future. Later, as I was examining a particularly striking sculpture, a woman approached. Emma's replacement at Rachel's gallery, looking uncomfortable. Mr. Wheeler? Rachel would like a word. I shook my head. Our communication goes through lawyers now. She knows that. The woman bit her lip. She said to tell you it's about the Hasselblad camera. She can get it back if you drop the emergency motion. The audacity was almost admirable. Using my grandfather's camera as leverage, a piece of my history, my heart, thinking I'd compromise the protection of my entire business to retrieve it. Please tell Rachel that nothing she took from me is worth what she's asking in return. As the woman walked away, I felt a weight lift that I hadn't even realized I was carrying. The camera was important, yes, but it was just an object. My grandfather's legacy lived in the skills he taught me, the eye for detail I'd inherited, the passion for capturing moments that told stories. Those were things Rachel could never take, sell, or destroy. 6 months passed like a time-lapse sequence, days blurring into weeks, moments captured through my lens as life rearranged itself into something new. Spring arrived in Portland with characteristic showers and unexpected growth. The divorce finalized in March. Rachel's aggressive tactics ultimately backfired when the judge reviewed Emma's evidence. In the end, I retained full ownership of my business, equipment, and most of our assets. Rachel walked away with less than she would have received in mediation. Poetic justice that brought no joy, only closure. My partnership with Vanessa Reed's gallery blossomed into a consistent stream of work. The Torres development project led to 3 more high-profile jobs. Doug joked that I'd become the drone guy for every major construction project in the Pacific Northwest. I found a small craftsman bungalow near Forest Park, complete with a detached studio I converted into an editing suite. The morning light filtered through tall windows, creating the perfect environment for reviewing footage. One sunny April afternoon, a courier delivered a package to my door. Inside was my grandfather's Hasselblad camera, carefully wrapped, with a brief note from Cameron Reed. This wasn't mine to keep. Business partnership ended. Moving to Seattle. I later learned what that cryptic message meant. Rachel's gallery had closed abruptly, her investor backing withdrawn after several questionable transactions came to light. Cameron had abandoned their plans and left her holding the pieces. Kelly called that evening with family news. Dad wants to know if you're coming to the Lake Chelan reunion this summer. Says to bring your drones. He wants to see these famous aerial shots everyone's talking about. I smiled, remembering Rachel's dismissive comment at that fateful dinner. Wouldn't miss it. The lake house would be full. My parents, Kelly's family, cousins with their children, a chaotic, loving gathering I'd once dreaded through Rachel's critical eyes. Now I look forward to it. That weekend, I took my drone to the Columbia River Gorge at dawn. As the sun crested the horizon, painting the landscape in gold and amber, I captured a waterfall from angles only birds had witnessed before. The footage was breathtaking. Mist catching light, water dancing over ancient rocks, the sheer power of nature flowing endlessly forward. No matter what obstacles appeared in its path, the river always found a way through, always continued its journey. Standing there, control panel in hand, I realized I'd done the same. The commercial success of my waterfall footage surprised even me. A major outdoor clothing company licensed it for their summer campaign. National Geographic expressed interest in a series on Pacific Northwest landscapes. My website traffic tripled. Success didn't heal all wounds, but it certainly helped prove Rachel wrong. I hadn't just survived without her. I'd thrived. Doug insisted on celebrating with dinner at Portland's newest rooftop restaurant. To the man who turned walking away into the best career move ever, he toasted, raising his glass. Seriously, Marcus, I've never seen you this focused, this alive. Nothing like betrayal to clarify priorities. I joked, but we both knew it was true. As summer approached, I expanded my business, hiring 2 junior photographers and purchasing new equipment. My calendar filled through December. Corporate clients, real estate developers, tourism boards, all wanting unique aerial perspectives. The Lake Chelan family reunion arrived with perfect weather. I brought my best drones, capturing the glittering water and surrounding mountains from spectacular heights. My nephews watched in awe as I navigated through challenging wind patterns to film a bald eagle's flight. Uncle Marcus is the coolest, I overheard one say, bringing an unexpected lump to my throat. On the final evening, sitting on the dock watching sunset paint the sky in impossible colors, my father joined me. You seem good, he said simply. Better than before. I am, I agreed. Took the long way around, but I got there. He nodded, understanding in his weathered face. Sometimes the hardest step is the first one away from what's hurting you. We sat in comfortable silence until stars emerged. The path forward wasn't perfect. I still had moments of anger, echoes of betrayal that caught me off guard. But those moments no longer define me. Last week, I heard Rachel had moved to California, trying to rebuild her career in a larger market. The news brought no emotional response, just neutral acknowledgement of information that no longer affected my life. As for me, National Geographic confirmed the landscape series. I'd be spending the next 6 months capturing the Pacific Northwest's hidden wonders, telling visual stories of resilience, beauty, and rebirth. Standing in my cabin window the morning after the reunion, watching mist rise from the lake surface, I felt profound gratitude for that dinner 8 months ago, for the cruel words that finally opened my eyes, for the strength to walk away, and for the discovery that sometimes the end of one journey is simply the beginning of a better one. Some doors need to close before new horizons can appear.